We have another gentleman out here that we've all, been watching, and we've all looked up to his game, and it's been quite an exciting journey. He's not played for India, but he's played for England. And, he is from the Indian origin, and that's why we've been so proud to see him at the global map, ladies and gentlemen. And in the next few minutes, he's going to be joining us. The next book that we are going to discuss is called The Full Monty by Monty Panesar. Monty Panesar established himself with England in 2006, quickly becoming a national hero with his trademark black turban, wide eyes, and eager fielding. Monty was a different type of spinner to those which had gone before, and here was someone who was not afraid to give it some air and attack the batsman head away. The England team revealed in his performance, most notably when Graham Swan and Monty combined in Mumbai in November 2012 and dubbed the Dust Devils as they returned joint figures of 19 for 323 in one of the greatest England spin double acts in the history. Monty Panesar is here to talk to us about his book, his life, and his time as an England player. And in just a few more moments, he's going to be joining us on stage. This is going to be another exciting session that we're all going to witness, ladies and gentlemen. Just a few more moments before he joins us on stage. So are you guys having a good time? Yes? Hasn't it been truly enriching? So if it has been, can I see a thumbs up in the air? Come on, everyone. Well, I see double thumbs up. That says it all. Thank you so very much. So we have the final two sessions for day one. And ladies and gentlemen, here we have Monty Panesar, who will be talking to us about his book, The Full Monty. Can I have a thunderous round of applause? Here comes another cricketing legend, ladies and gentlemen, and you have to welcome him. And moderating this session is Joy Bhattacharya. He is currently the CEO of PVL, India's first ever professional volleyball league, which had its first season in February 2019. So he's been the project director for the FIFA Under-17 World Cup as well. And prior to that, he was the team director of the Kolkata Knight Riders and also the head of programming for both the History Channel and National Geographic Channel for South Asia and ESPN Star Sports, first Indian head of production. He's written on sport for India Today, Man's World, The Telegraph, and the Hindustan Times, and also has a column on sport in the Economic Times. And I'm going to request both the gentlemen to kindly take over. And everybody else, please be seated. This is going to be another exciting session to watch out for. Over to you both.
Yeah. Please, Monty. So, I just have to tell you that it's wonderful to have you here, Monty. Before I came out here, the last couple of days I've spent reading The Full Monty. And as I said, one of the most interesting things about what he's written is it's a very honest book. And we in India are used to hagiographies. Everyone's good, everyone's perfect. My coach is perfect, my life is perfect, the marriage is perfect. And this is a book that is much more honest, much more. So when you wrote it, when you started writing it with your co-author, what did you tell him? What was your brief? That you wanted everything else to come out?
Well, firstly, I'd like to say thank you for e-Camera Sports Literature Festival to give me the platform to talk about my book, The Full Monty. Thank you for inviting me to India, and this gives me an opportunity to talk about, my book, my story, and sort of the ups and downs being a cricketer, being a professional cricketer, international cricketer, And like you said, it's an honest account, and I try to be as honest as I can because I thought when I'm writing an autobiography, what I want to do is I want to be honest about how I became, a professional cricketer, how I tried to become successful at playing, cricket for England, and also slightly more challenging times, and that's in the book as well. Like I said, we can paint a great picture in the autobiography, and I'm sure there's other sports people who probably had a successful career and were amazing at everything they did. Like this morning, I heard the likes of VVS, Laxman. I think he's probably one of the few who was flawless, and everyone just says great things about him, and he's rightly so. He never stepped a foot wrong. Maybe the only thing was missing for him was captaincy for India. Maybe he was too much of a nicer guy to become, a captain of India. But that was my account. I had to, I thought to myself, shall I be honest or shall I paint a nice picture? And I'm glad you picked up on it, that I gave an honest account about the full Monty.
Absolutely. A man who can admit in this day and age that he's national supporter is already working very hard. But, to come to your book and, where you started off, saying the one thing that strikes me throughout is from the very start, you were very focused saying, I want to be the greatest spin bowler in the world. And that's that one line that's there throughout the book. I want to be the greatest spin bowler in the world. And at some point in time, you realize you're probably going to be among the top 7, 8, maybe 10, maybe even the top 5 spin bowlers in the world, but you're not going to be number 1. How easy or how difficult was it for you to cope with that? The fact that, you can't be that thing that you've dreamt about all your life.
Yeah, I guess it was difficult for me because I remember as a 17-year-old sitting at Northants with the chief executive. He said, we're going to give you a summer contract, you're going to become a professional cricketer, and I refused to sign it because I said I want to become the best spinner in the world. Now that's my naivety, my innocence, which not realizing that there's a system to become the best in the world. You have to become a professional cricketer, then you've got to play county cricket, and then you've got to perform well in county cricket. And also, then when you come to international, same thing. But I thought, by signing a contract, all you do is play county cricket and you can't play for England. So that was, me being young, naive Monty Panesar, who just thought, become the greatest spinner in the world, and that's what I want to do. And like you said, maybe at one point I was top 5 in the world, but I never was number 1. And I soon, realized that my skill level probably wasn't there as a number 1. Maybe if I was born in India, I probably would have been number 1 spinner in the world. But in England, where the wickets are sort of green and they don't turn as much, it's probably difficult for a spinner, to reach the highest, the highest levels of a spinner.
Okay, so I'm going to start off. So now we've done a bit in the beginning. I'm going to go back, rewind a bit, and come back to Madhusudan Singh Panesar, born out there, parents out there, and your father has worked very hard to give you gentlemen a living. He studied for his O-levels on the side. At that point in time, typically that overachieving, expat Indian parents, his first tendency is go there, study engineering, study hard, make a good this thing for yourself, make a house by 35, have a mortgage. When he saw that you were doing well at cricket, what did he do? Did he turn around and say, no son, focus on your studies? Or did he say, go son and play the game, enjoy yourself?
Well, I remember when my dad first took me to a cricket training camp. I was a 10-year-old, and I was quite podgy, being a Punjabi kid. We were quite a sort of overweight kid, and my dad just wanted me to lose some weight. That's all he wanted me to do, and I used to absolutely hate training Sunday mornings. Get up early, go there, do a couple of laps. But eventually, the love of cricket started to grow on me, and I fell in love with the game, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So for me, it was something that I had to tell my dad, and I go to my dad, I want to become a professional cricketer. And he goes to me, no son, the right term is doctor.
So doctor to cricketer. So after that, once you started achieving, was he okay with that?
No, he still says to me, when are you going to become a doctor? I know you become a cricketer. I want you to become either a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer, like every sort of kid does. His dream was for me to become a doctor, and I haven't lived up to that expectation.
Yeah, it's not enough being one of the top 5 spin bowlers in the world. That's Indian parents for you, Sharma ji ka beta is always there becoming a doctor for you. But okay, from there on you're coming and you're playing in Luton and, Northamptonshire, your second 11, first 11. You're growing into an England, this is, late 80s, early 90s. You're looking at, the cultural, England changing from a country where, racism was probably there, not so overt as in other countries, but there. Has it got better? How difficult was it being a Sikh kid growing up in England where most of the other first-class cricketers were definitely not from your part of the world?
Yeah, I think for me, what was really interesting was people take an interest in my faith and religion. They'll ask me, what is Sikhism and what's your first name? I'll say it's Madhusudan, and they'll say, do you have a nickname? And I go, it's Monty. And I go, that's much easier for us to pronounce, Monty than Madhusudan, because that's such a long name. So that's how Monty came about. And then suddenly, when you go to start going upper level, played under 12s, Bedfordshire, then I played under 13s, under 15s, and at 16 played minor counties, which was men's cricket. And I remember Wayne Larkins, who played for Northamptonshire, and he was at Slip playing with us at Bedfordshire. He said to me, your action reminds me of, Bishan Bedi. And, the great Bishan Bedi is same rhythm, same pose. And I actually learnt my whole bowling by one of these MCC books, which was forwarded by Tony Lewis, where there was 60 images of Bishan Bedi, and I just copied every action when I was in my room while other kids were out and about, playing or, doing other things. I was, in my room copying Bishan Bedi's action every day and modeled myself, my action on him. So if I didn't have that MCC sort of, book to copy my action, then I think, I don't know what kind of action I would have had.
Interesting. So you started off there, and I remember that Tony Lewis book, The Art of Bowling, and it's a wonderful illustrated book. Before that, at some point in time, did Monty say he wanted to become a fast bowler? When was it that you gave up the fast bowler's dream? Tell me the truth.
I think that I gave it up when I was about 15, and I was with Paul Taylor, who played for Northampton, and at Bedford we had like a normal, just a college, in a college indoor cricket session with Northants, and Paul Taylor goes to me, you're not really bowling very fast, forget about that dream of becoming the next Wasim Akram, because when I watched the 92 World Cup, I wanted to become like, Wasim Akram, with that famous over he bowled, and, I was up, 4 in the morning watching that, and then I realized that maybe I'll try spin. So when I tried spin, I was able to get it to turn, and the ball was turning and bouncing, and also the ball was accurate. I was able to bowl in the same area consistently. And then I always thank Paul Taylor, even today. I said, thank you so much for suggesting that advice, because it's helped me to become, an England spinner. It helped me to fulfill my dreams. Not my father's dreams, but, probably my dreams as such. But I always thank him whenever I see him. I say, thank you so much, Paul Taylor, for that piece of advice, because with that advice, it's helped to, create Monty Panesar. And now we're here sitting talking about the full Monty.
Absolutely. The full Monty. Read it. If not for anything else, you will not find chapter names as you will find in this book. So I'll give you a little bit of a sample of some of the chapter names. One is called Dunkirk, which is okay, which is, still believable. But there are ones which is, I think there was something about can a vegetarian eat a camel foreskin, or was there something like that? That's actually the name of a chapter in this book. So if you want to know whether vegetarians can eat camel foreskins or not, it's all there in this book. You must read it, and there's far more there in that sort of vein. Question to you, when did you first think you're good enough to play for the country? Because that's a big step. You're playing cricket, you're playing first-class cricket. At some point, when does it dawn on you, shit, I could be good enough to play for England?
I think for me it was when I asked my coach, Nick Cook, I said to him, shall I go university or shall I would continue to play professional cricket. So for me, I basically thought that I want to go university because if cricket doesn't happen, then possibly I can fall into another career. But he said to me, on 99 cricketers, I suggest, you not to go. You're that 1% where I honestly believe you can play for England as well. And even then, I used to have self-doubt issues. I didn't really believe in myself that I could play, even though I had sort of talent in abundance. Just everything was so natural in terms of my action, my bowling, everything that a spinner, needed. I was sort of, I had everything.
You have.
Yeah.
You have everything.
I know, I keep sort of bigging myself up so much, might as well just pat myself on the back as well. But I think eventually that self-realization, grew even more and more when I was at the academy, National Cricket Academy with Rod Marsh, which he even said to me at the age of 21, he goes to me, look, Monty, at the moment you have got deficiencies. You're not great at fielding. You're not great at batting, and even at that age, I wasn't good, and even at the age of 37, I'm not very good at batting or fielding, so one thing hasn't changed, but it was my bowling. It was the bowling that people really enjoyed, and even Rod said, he goes, maybe in a couple of years' time, I reckon, you can get back, he believed I could play for England, and he said, maybe in a few years' time, you can play international cricket, and even then, I didn't believe that I could, so for me, self-doubt, belief, confidence, I had major confidence issues because I never thought I was good as everyone else thought I was.
Okay, so I'll come back to this journey of cricket, but here's something you've raised. When we today read, and especially a lot of Indian cricketers, Pakistani cricketers, they tell us, oh, I had no doubt I'd play for the country. I find it difficult to believe that in a profession that's so high pressure, okay, where one performance can make so much of a difference. You get 10 wickets, it's all different. A catch goes down and you could have a perfect spin and it all goes for waste. A guy goes and gets 100. Is it the fact that we don't hear enough, cricketers are not telling us enough about the kind of pressures and insecurities they face? Do you feel that still now in the subcontinent especially, mental health or worrying about, the worries, the pressures of a cricketer, we're not expressing enough? You think we have a problem there?
Well, the thing is, what is mental health? We talk about it all the time. Now, mental health for me is a very simple thing. You just ask your friend, Aap kaise ho? How are you? How are you feeling? Are you feeling good? Forget about the work life, forget about family, forget about everything. How are you as a human being? How do you feel? How are your thoughts? Aap kaise ho? Aap theek ho? Just having a conversation about the individual, not talking about, work life or, I think, South Asian communities or people from India, Pakistan, even in England, we're very good at, financial capital. We're very good at earning money and we're very good at getting rich very quickly as well. We're just good at that. It's just something, everyone is born with. But how much do we invest time in our social capital? How much time do we invest with our friends, with our families? Once a week, am I going to go and see my friend and just catch up for a beer or a coffee? Make that effort, even in our busy schedules. And that's I think where the issue kind of lies, because loneliness is, the breeding ground for mental health issues. If you're alone and if you don't share your thoughts and feelings, you're going to feel that whatever reality is in your mind is actually correct. And it's good to, spend time with your friends and family. And the best way to overcome, in my opinion, mental health issues or anything that you don't feel great is talk. Talk to your friends, talk to your family members. That simple question, how are you feeling? Like I said before, very simple, aap kaise ho? That's it. Very simple, just ask them, how are you feeling? And that goes a long way. They feel that someone is there who actually genuinely, cares about my thoughts, cares about my feelings, and that's all they want to know. And them sort of conversations are very difficult to have on a dinner table, early morning, just before you're about to go to school or work, because everyone's just so busy in their own schedules.
Fascinating, because one of the things that we don't look and that's not enough explored is the fact that most international cricketers or sportsmen for that matter spend maybe 300 days a year in a hotel, where you also might be in a situation where you've just lost the game and everyone in the world hates you. Other than the 10 guys in your team, everyone else wants nothing to do with you. So when you went on those long tours, and they can't be easy, you've been to Australia, you've been to the West, how did you manage? Or who was that man on tour? Or were there specific friends you had who helped you through that period?
I think there was one thing that helped me was the room service. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. That bit as a 10-year-old, when I was a chubby little kid, I was an emotional eater. I would go to my room, I have room service, eat everything out of it, and then feel really good. And that was my way of combating it, which, probably I wouldn't advise anyone to do it, but, you go to hotel rooms and the first thing you look at is what's in the cupboard, with all the sort of crisps, sweets and everything we have. We absolutely, I love all these sort of snacks. And that's what I did. And then emotionally just feel like, oh, that feels good now I'm fine. Rather than actually, why don't I knock on, on one of my teammates, on one of my friends, and just say to them, I probably don't feel as great. Bowling doesn't feel great. I'm not getting the shape on the ball. I'm not getting as many wickets. Normally it takes me 60 balls to get a wicket. Now it's taking me 80, 85, 90 balls. I feel really frustrated with that. They're the sort of conversations, you want to have with your teammates. How are you feeling inside that you can openly talk about to anyone? And I think that's what I didn't do, because I was like, I may lose my position. I'm playing next week, so let's just rely on room service, order my favorite food and just eat loads of it and then feel really good.
Fascinating. I mean, that's as honest a description as you can find it. Here's one more question, and I come back from, you're a man who's after Bishan Singh Bedi the next, and anyone who's followed Bishan Bedi, and all of you have been, it's been so tough, from Maninder Singh in India to yourself. Both of you have been absolutely brilliant cricketers, and 167 wickets is a substantial record in itself. Now, Bishan had this one thing which he said that all good finger spinners do. You think out a batsman, you don't get him out this over. You start laying the trap in 1 over, and maybe you get your wicket 3 overs later. Were you like that? Would you look at a batsman and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do in the first couple of overs, then I'm going to lure him into this? How did you apply your craft?
Yeah, I think initially for me, I had just talent to spin the ball and turn and bounce, and I got lots of wickets doing that. And then suddenly, how Bishan says, you should have a neck top, not a laptop. And I think I had a laptop because I couldn't really think for myself, and that's why I wasn't very good tactically. And then Shane Warne, when he said, I think Monty's playing each test the same way 33 times. The reason he's obviously, doing that is because he's not thinking. He's not thinking how to get batsmen out. And then that's where, the big subject of, he's got no variation. He needs to bowl it slower. He needs to change the field setting, and that's a variation itself. He's just not doing that. He's just relying on turning the ball and trying to get him out by hitting the stumps. And that eventually, it's only so many magic balls you can bowl. Eventually, even the great batsmen work you out that he's actually got good stock delivery. If we can see that out, he's not going to get us out. And that's what ended up, started to happen. So I kind of lost my place. Then I went from Northants to Sussex to learn a bit more about how to get batsmen out. And on them slower surfaces, where the pitch at Northants was, I can bowl it with pace. But on the slower surfaces, I was able to learn how to get wickets, and tactically, like you said, 2-3 overs in advance. How am I going to get this guy out? It's probably where I learned how to get batsmen out, rather than just rely on my talent and bowl a really good stock delivery and try and get them out that way.
Okay, brilliant. So there are very few people in the world who can turn around and say that their first test wicket was Sachin Tendulkar. So I have to take you back to that moment. What happened when you started bowling that day, and did you think you'd get Sachin? Just tell us all about it.
Well, firstly, Andrew Flintoff, when he announced the team, he goes at the end, the last name was Monty Panesar. And I went up to Freddie and I go, am I 12th man for the first test match? He goes, no, you're playing. He goes, I'm backing you and I think you're going to do really well. And then I went running up to my room and I thought, oh my God, is this for real? I don't think I'm ready for this. Tendulkar, Sehwag, Ganguly, KF, Dravid, Dhoni, the list just keeps, going on and on, VVS Laxman. So for me, it was, I thought, how am I going to combat the Indian spinners, Indian batsmen? These guys are like amazing players. And then, the coaches always tell us, rely on your process and just focus on that. And that's all I did. I thought I just got to bowl good deliveries to these batsmen, and then I got half a chance of if I can get them out. And then the second day when I came on to bowl again, it hit the pad. It actually hit the pad of Sachin Tendulkar's pad. And honestly, his pads are like really wide as well. They're like, it looks like he's got like two leg guards on. They're like really wide, fully padded, and it's buckled up. And it hit the pad, and I couldn't see the stumps. And as you naturally do, you just appeal. And I thought, right, let me just appeal. And Alim Dar, he sort of gave it out. And I couldn't believe it at the time. And I thought, oh my God, I've got, Sachin Tendulkar out as my first test wicket. And I just ran down to point, and I never used to celebrate like that. Never did in county cricket. It only happened when I was involved in my first test match, getting Tendulkar out. And it was just a sheer sort of, joy of bowling and, to Tendulkar, who's like my hero, and getting him out because he was, the greatest batsman, ever to play, cricket. And for me, that was just like a very joyous moment where I just, got really happy. And I guess I thank Sachin Paji for being such a great batsman, because at least now people know in the world who Monty Panesar is.
And apparently you did get that ball autographed from him, did you?
Yeah, I did. The physio came up to me and he said, Sachin Paji's happy to sign the ball. And it said, once in a blue moon, mate, never again. But then he signed me the second ball.
You signed your second ball?
No, because I got him out again in at Lord's. Yeah. So then that was in silver pen, and he goes, oh, the blue moon comes more often than I thought.
That's a fantastic story. So tell me something. So now we've been talking about it, and Freddie Flintoff is your first test captain. You've seen quite a few on the way. You've seen Vaughan, you've seen quite a few of the English captains, and all of them have been personalities. Who is the person who you felt brought out the best in you as a captain? Either whether it's a county or whether it's a test match, who did you feel understood Monty Panesar, the bowler, and got the best out of him?
I think for me it was Michael Vaughan. Michael Vaughan was the best who understood me. He knew that I probably wasn't going to set the field or not talk to him about tactically how am I going to get the bowlers out. And he was very good. He worked the characters out of every person. And he would always ask the question, why do you play for England? What's your motivation? Is it to earn lots of money? Is it to break records? Do you want to score hundreds? Do you want to take wickets? What's your motivation? And he would work with that and then help you towards achieving that goal for you. So he was brilliant manager for like many players that played under Michael Vaughan, and he managed to get the best out of me. He'll just throw me the ball and he'll say, look, Monty, just bowl your best ball, leave the rest to me. And it was simple as that. Like I wouldn't even set the field or I wouldn't do anything, but he would set it accordingly to how he thinks a batsman's going to get out. And yeah, I really enjoyed playing under Michael Vaughan's captaincy, and I thought he was a brilliant captain.
Absolutely. So once you've played international cricket at that level, you've had that first test, you did well, you got Sachin. How tough is it? Because once you get into the grind, when you're playing county cricket, you're still spending a lot of time in England. You're traveling around, but you're spending a fair amount of time with family. Once that's taken away from you, you're on long tours. You said, you cope with food, with whatever. What are the ways in which a team sort of, especially traveling in places like India, Australia, how tough is it? And how mentally stressful are these tours for you guys?
Yeah, I think it can be quite tough, especially if you're touring Australia, like my first tour was. We lost 5-0, and eventually, each day can just get, it's like going in a boxing ring. The first round you're getting hit, second round, third round, and it's non-stop. And then eventually you just get put down. And that's how it feels like after 5 test matches. You just feel like it's just non-stop, and you want to, you want to kind of leave halfway when you're losing. It's a horrible place to be. But then when you're winning, the other side is great. You keep getting the same batsman out all the time. And you keep winning and you keep doing really well. So touring is really good if you're doing really well, and because then you're just loving it. You don't want the tour to end.
Feeding off it.
Yeah, you just don't want the tour to end because you're doing really well against an individual batsman or a certain team. But then when you're not doing well, you're like, oh, I don't have to get up again now, play the next test match because we're going to lose again. And it gets very tiring. And that's where, it gets very testing for you as a test cricketer. That's when you really know, when they say it's a test cricket, can you turn it around? We're 1-0 down. Can we now win the next test match? Can we turn it around? And that's why I think test cricket is the best cricket best form of the game, because away tours especially. Home tours are easy because you lose the game, you go home, you got your friends and family. Away tour, your family are your players, are the coaches. They are like your family members there, where you rely on them. So turning that around and then winning a series, that's another an amazing feeling.
Okay, one more thing. You're one of the few people who's actually probably the only England cricketer of this generation who's had a film based on his life. Did you have anything to do with it at all? Were they told you there was this film about you? Because clearly Patiala House is based on your life. So did they come and ask you about it at all?
Well, it's loosely based. I never met Akshay Kumar. Never met him in real life. I wish we could have met once. I never have. And he made a loosely based film on myself, English cricketer. At least I could have said to Akshay Kumar, you could have made him into a spinner. It was a seam bowler, from England. So, it could have been a spinner, left-arm spinner preferably.
And who would you, if you had to make the film, who would you like playing your role?
Oh, so if we had to make the full Monty into biopsy, and that's very popular in this country, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know, there's like a lot of characters, come to mind. But yeah, that's one thing I would love to do. I would love to make the full Monty book into a biopsy in this country, which seems to be very popular at the moment, than sort of other countries. So would you like to see a full Monty biopsy?
Why not? Absolutely. A biopic, an honest biopic is something that we'll be really looking forward to. Tell me something more. We've also met a lot of the coaches because, coaching is such an integral part of it. You've had many coaches, the England coaches from Peter Moores onwards, Kepler Wessels in your early days. Who's had the maximum influence as a coach in your career? After the gentleman who asked you to switch to spin, after that, further down in first class cricket, who is the coach who had a maximum influence in your career?
Yeah, I think in the England team, Duncan Fletcher was a huge influence for me. The only reason was because he would never speak to me. And take him 2 days to have a chat with me. He wouldn't really speak to me much, but he was an observer. He would observe from a distance. And one of his golden gems that I remember now was at Lord's. Because at Lord's we have the slope, and the slope goes this way. So normally, as a spinner, you want to bowl from the other end, because with the slope, the ball will turn more. Yeah. And he asked me the question. He goes, so where are you going to bowl to the left-handers against Sri Lanka? I said, I'll probably bowl, with the slope, so I'll get more turn. No, he goes, I want you to bowl against the slope. So I want you to bowl from the pavilion end, because when the ball turns, it's actually going to straighten. So your good ball that turns will straighten against the angle, and you'll get the outside edge. You get them on the outside edge. They'll look to play you to cover the inside edge, and you'll get them outside edge. And that's what happened. I got a couple of the left-handers out, and I remember going back in the dressing room, and Duncan Fletcher would just say, "I," that's his way of expressing that. Monty, you understand what's going on, and his acknowledgement. So he didn't really say much, but he would just say "I," and I knew that was his sort of mark of respect. That I've taught you something. You've gone out there, you've implemented it, you understand it, and that relationship started to develop. Where we didn't really talk much, but I enjoyed the space he gave me, because that space to think for myself, to work out my own sort of problems with cricket, how to overcome it. He quite enjoyed players sort of working things out for themselves, than actually giving the answer straight away.
Excellent. And see, one of the things about spinners, and especially today, each and every one spinner has tried to get a different ball. Today you see Ashwin trying a variety of bowlers. He's even tried leg spin in the IPL. Of course, IPL is a very different format. And we've had this case of, say, Saqlain Mushtaq, who tried to bowl, and he had a great doosra. And in the late 90s, he's probably the most successful spinner going around. Even his strike rate was even better than that of the Warnes and the Murlis. But somewhere trying to do the doosra, he lost his original action. So does that something that happens to spinners? Because at some point in time, you were also looking at creating a doosra of your own. Did you end up doing it? Did you feel that it impacted your original action, the normal finger spin?
Well, I found it very difficult, firstly, to do the doosra because my action is quite orthodox. And to do the doosra, you've got to open up, you've got to be quite chest on. The likes of like Harbhajan, who found it very easy to do it because he would open up his, chest on and you'd be chest on, which allows then you can show the wrist, well, the back of the hand, and then it comes out that way. So that's the way to bowl the doosra. I found it very difficult. I obviously, wasn't allowed to bend my arm because then that's an illegal delivery. So I had to just be orthodox. And by being sort of, orthodox style, I just found it difficult. So I tried to bowl an arm ball, which was one of my ways of getting batsmen out, or the other way, where if I couldn't bowl, get the ball to turn and bounce.
Top spinner.
Well, I wasn't good enough as a top spinner, but I was able to hit the leather, try and get the ball to skid on and just get LB through that if the ball wasn't turning or bouncing.
So now that you're in this stage of your career, what are you looking at? Do you still see first-class cricket ahead of you? Is it coaching that you're looking at? Or do you say, because spinners mature late, and spinners, frankly, as long as they do well with the ball, they can last the longest. Rangana Herath at 38, 39 was taking wickets. You're still 37 years old. So do you see yourself having a serious shot at cricket still going on the next few years?
Yeah, still, when I get back after the new year, I'll be training with Northants, and I'll try and see if I can get back playing professional cricket again. So that's going to be one of my goals. And that's kind of a short-term goal, and if I can do that, that'll be absolutely brilliant. And also my longer-term goal is, to become like a media presenter, to do sort of media broadcasting, sort of have my own kind of like, radio shows back home and my own sort of column. It would be nice to get something in India as well, maybe on TV, radio, or, as a columnist. So, yeah, I would love to get involved with media broadcasting, and my goal is to become like an unbelievable media broadcaster as a sports correspondent or cricket. So one of them sort of areas I would absolutely love, and if I can, get back playing professional cricket, then that would be a real added bonus.
So Stars, Sony, if you're listening out there, he's all ready for the market, but we won't let him go so soon. Tell me one more thing. Who was the most difficult batsman that you've ever bowled to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think most difficult batsman I bowled to was Graham Smith. Firstly, his presence and his strong body language. Like there was a moment at Edgbaston where we were. It was a second innings, and if I got him out, we would have won that match because Freddie would have just bowled the whole team out. But I couldn't get Smith out of the rough, and he hit the rough, and he just held his body position so well, hit the glove, and short leg caught it. Even I was in doubt. I thought, is it out, not out? And a half appealed. If I had full appealed, I reckon the umpire would have given it out. And he would have been out. We would have won that game. And that moment, I don't think Michael Vaughan would have given up his, resigned as a captain. It was such a crucial moment that so many decisions took place that I found him very difficult because he averaged 80 against the left arm spin. And it was more to do with his body language at the crease. Sheer presence that creates sort of doubt in your mind when something goes your way. You kind of think, his body position looks strong, so maybe he didn't glove it. and he was brilliant at doing that. And in fact, he did glove it. He gloved it twice. So yeah, who knows? If Graham Smith was being given out, Michael Vaughan probably would have been captain for a longer period of time.
And what about the Indian batsmen? Anyone there in that tour, that famous 2006 tour, who you really rate? And after coming back, which of the Indian batsmen did you really rate?
Well, look, obviously, Sachin Bhaji is still a great, batsman. Virender Sehwag played an unbelievable innings at Chennai, which they needed 380 to win after the unfortunate, terror attacks that happened at the Taj Hotel in Mumbai. And we still, wasn't sure if we were going to, tour, but we did, and it was a turning pitch, and that was an unbelievable knock by, Sachin Bhaji on a turning pitch, and then Sehwag to set that up. You got a quick 80, and out of nowhere was just smashing the ball all over the park. Like my second ball went out of the ground for 6 on a turning pitch, and I was thinking, gosh, we probably need another 100 here, like 480 to win this Test match. That Indian team was unbelievable.
I want to take you back, and I think you mentioned something of that. That 27th of September 2008, you guys were meant to be at the Taj, actually. You guys were booked in at the Taj, but you had moved to Bangalore for a training camp. and you suddenly realize as a player you probably dodged death. I mean, this could have happened. You could have been in the hotel that day. This could have happened to you. What were you thinking? You know, when you heard about the Taj attack, what's the first thing that came to your mind?
I was just completely shocked. It was such a sad moment in this country, and I felt very, very sad because obviously I am, there's Indian heritage that I have as well. So I'm very much obviously born in England, but yeah, connected to India very closely. And I thought, like, why are they doing this? What's the need of this? And it was very, very sad. And that night, I remember when I was in Bangalore, I was watching the TV all night, all the incidences that took place. Initially, it was just the Taj Hotel. Then suddenly, we realized it was a various attacks that took place on other parts of Mumbai. And last year, I went to the cafe where they've got the picture of the window that the bullet went through. And that was a very, very sad, moment in India. And it was just like watching it up all night, and then we're thinking, like, should we play the test match? Should we all go home? And when we had that meeting, with Kevin Peterson, all of us sitting down, everyone kind of like felt that we should play the test match. We kind of owe it to, the people in India. They should be seeing a test match. And in a way, I know now it was a turning pitch, and I wasn't able to get, Sachin, out. Like, I don't know why I want to get Sachin out every time. But Yuvraj played a great innings, got 100 there as well. And you look at it now and you kind of think, well, it was great to see India win that test match, because I think people in India, a population of over 1 billion people, needed something to celebrate, to feel happy about, to get the spirits up, after feeling so sad about these, horrific attacks. That I think part of me was thinking, Chalo, I'm happy that Sachin Baji got that 100, even though my place was questionable after that. Like, everyone thought that, well, if Monty can't get players out on a turning pitch, then is he really good as he should be? But I think in the back of my mind, when I'm back to my hotel room, I was like happy for, India to win that test match because of what happened, to the country prior to the terror attacks.
Wonderful. That's meaningful. Monty, tell me what... you're one of the people who've played for England, obviously the first Sikh to play for England, that has an influence. But nothing explains the kind of craze that there was for you when you played for England. The kind of guys who all wore this patka. This style of patka is now this is the Monty style. This is undoubtedly you, it's yours. When did that start? When you look around and say there are 50 people in the audience who are wearing this, what was your first reaction? Hey, you've become a star. How do you take it? How do you react to that?
Well, it was basically to do with me wearing a helmet. I couldn't wear a normal helmet with my, jura, on top, and I found it so difficult. So my coach said to me, look, you're always going to the gym, you're always, playing. Why don't you just tie it at the back? It'd be easier for you. So I started to do that. And then when I took, Sachin as my first test wicket, Andrew Flintoff said to me back home, do you know Monty Mania has started? And I said, what's that? What is Monty Mania? He goes, like, people, wear fake beards. They copy the bandana style. Like, they, even in, like, some of the football league teams, they're celebrating like me when they score a goal because they just, watched it on TV. So that everyone just sort of loved, when I fielded, I batted, whatever I did, they just, loved every part of it. So that was something that took me by surprise. And I think Andrew Flintoff was the superstar, then, and now he's gone on to do, bigger and better things in the TV world back home. He's like a TV presenter for Top Gear, which even when I ask him, he goes like, it's strange that you're asking me that I'm a presenter of Top Gear. So yeah, he's done, really well for him after he's finished playing cricket. And yeah, for me, he took me under his wing, kind of taught me how to deal with the fame and how to, enjoy the fame, how to be accessible to all fans. Like they said, without your fans, you're nothing. So that's one thing I did realize very quickly, that I need to give time to my fans. I need to spend time with them because they're the ones who make you famous and they're the ones who break you as well. Likewise. So yeah, I just try and enjoy my time with the fans. And if I'm relevant now, and if in 10 years' time I'm still getting recognised and people want to take a photo, then you're still sort of valued in the market, and that's really important. For a sportsman, they still get sort of recognised wherever they go, any part of the world, anywhere in the world, because that's really important, I think, for a sportsman. because then he's able to give back and he's got options. You can do many things with that. Help with charity work, help with other projects. And that's the kind of stuff, I want to sort of get involved with as well.
So yeah, true. Very, very, very. The fact that the sportsman's influence is far beyond just the cricket field, I think it's very important for us. But I want to take you back before we finish and I open this up for questions. One more on the cricket field, and this has nothing to do with your bowling for once. It's about that one innings at Cardiff where you and Jimmy Anderson managed to keep the Australians out. You were never known as a batsman. What happened on that day? What happened to Monty Panesar that day?
Well, firstly, what happened was I didn't put the stickers on my bat. So the bat maker's stickers, the publicity that he was going to get, that didn't end up happening. It was a blank bat. And as I went out to bat, I was actually went out. Jimmy Anderson, he said, he said to me, we're eventually going to get out. So just watch the ball and see how it goes. And I remember Andrew Flintoff and Andy Flower and Paul Collingwood was my batting buddy. And he would say to me, make sure against the fast bowlers, your back lift is really low, you're deep in the crease. And if it's at the stumps, what do you do? I said, play with a straight bat. Right, and he goes, if it's short, what do you do? I go, duck, right? And the way I used to duck would be, I'll duck and my head would turn as well. So I wouldn't watch the ball. And he goes, I don't care what you do, just duck. These are the two things you got to remember, and let's see if we got a half a chance. And I ended up, 69 balls. I think I only faced 7 of them. But out of the 69 balls, we managed to, draw a test match.
Yeah, one of the most thrilling draws in English history. Look it up. There's a lot more in this book that you'll find, and I think most importantly, it's about a person who enjoys writing about his life, doesn't feel the need to be right or good all the time, and it's a book that honestly discusses success, failure, and a lot more in international cricket, which is fairly fascinating. So before I end, I'd just like to open the field. Any questions to anyone? Okay, we have somebody out there. Would you just introduce yourself before asking, please? Yeah, gentleman in the specs, yeah. Yeah, could we get a mic across? Yeah.
Check.
Hello. Yeah. Good evening, Monty. Good evening, Joy. Hello, everyone. My name is Kislay. I'm a cricket journalist based in Delhi. My question is to you, Monty. I was just reading an interview you had with BBC in 2016 when you first came out with your mental health issues, and you said that it's fairly easy to make it out by looking at a player in the dressing room, whether there's a problem with him or not. Only recently, players like Glenn Maxwell have opened up on mental health issues and have taken a break from cricket. Even the Indian captain, recalled his ordeal when he was in England in 2014 and didn't get many runs. And he wasn't sure if he actually came out with it, how that would have been taken. So do you think at the international level or at the domestic level, there are enough support systems in place for people to deal with mental health? And when you actually came out, what was the scene like at the ECB or in the dressing room? Did you have enough support when you came out with your condition? Thank you.
Yeah, well, I think firstly for me, I was in denial. I was in quite a bit of denial, being sort of Punjabi background. We're supposed to be like that Jat mentality, strong male sort of people. Nothing is wrong with us. We're like, if something is wrong, you just do extra hours of work. That's the way to deal with it. But for me, I had the PCA, which was the Professional Cricketers Association. And at the time, I had Paul Grayson, former Essex county coach, who would always say to me, go and have a chat with a sports psychologist, just talk about what's going on. And that was my way of getting the support from a sports psychologist. And then I'll come back, and then suddenly, things weren't, as great as I thought they were. And still thinking everything's fine. It's only a chat with a sports psychologist. But then, things get, worse as well. And I think what the support network that I had was good, because not the normal person would have that. They weren't able to have an access to a sports psychologist. Firstly, they're very, they're expensive, for a session, and then, the understanding, the education, the awareness that it's okay not to feel great. You don't have to feel awesome every day. Some days you may not feel good, and it's okay, go and talk about it to someone. And that's probably the biggest issue we have with ourselves. We're sports people. We need to feel great when the ball hits the bat, or when I'm bowling, I've got to bowl my best ball, most of the time. And if I'm not doing it, then I have an issue with that. Sometimes it's okay, where I'm at. I'm not hitting the ball well. I'm not turning the ball. It's going to take me, like I said, 90 balls to 90 or 100 balls to get a wicket. I'm okay with that. I may get dropped. That's fine. And that's the bit you gotta be happy within yourself and not fight that. Once you start fighting it, then eventually what ends up happening is things can get worse. And suddenly, the doctor says, well, you may need medication, or may need time away from the game. So talking, I think, is the best thing. It's the easiest, quickest route, to have a healthy mind.
Thanks. I think that was fairly substantial. Anyone else? Any questions? One more out there, gentleman out there, if you could get the mic across. Thank you. I think that's about all we have time for. Maybe one. Huh?
Hello.
Sorry? We have time, so we'll take a couple of questions then. Yeah, great. Please, there's a mic out there, please. Yeah.
Good evening, sir. My name is Astha. And
Louder, please, ma'am.
Can you speak up?
We can't hear you.
My name is Astha, and my question for you is, Michael Vaughan is very good for you as a team captain. Was it purely as a man manager, in your personal opinion, or as professional?
Well, I think Michael Vaughan was a brilliant man manager. He was a good team captain as well. But on the field, he'll captain the team. Off the field, he'll manage the players, whatever they wanted, whatever they want to do. Didn't have any, we didn't have curfews in place, whatever. As long as you're on the field and you're communicating with me. And his biggest question was, what motivates you to play for England? What gets you out of bed? What is it? What is that reason? And he would always want to know that. For some people, it's actually motivation. For some people, it's, I want people to know how great I am when I'm on the field, or I just want the freedom to just play my shots. I don't want to play defensively. That's what gets me out of bed, and that's the kind of stuff he was brilliant at with each character, and he was able to just manage each character really well. With me, he would just say, Monty, just bowl your magic ball, just bowl your best ball, just try and bowl your best ball every time. Leave the rest to me, and that's all I probably was good at. I was just good at bowling a really good stock delivery, and that's why he got the best out of me.
Perfect. That's a great explanation, and great. As a captain, these are very revealing words. Couple more questions out there. Yeah, please go on.
My name is Pavan Arora. My question is that Monty Panesar, during the all span of your cricket life, you have given different nicknames such as Sikh of Twigs, Beard to be Feared, Monty.
Just hold on. I don't think I can understand. Can you hear what you're saying? Could you come closer? Maybe you can come closer. We could be able to hear you. Bring the mic with you. Yeah. I think the voice is distorting and we can't see your face either, so it's a bit difficult for us to understand. Yeah.
My question for Monty Panesar is this, that during the whole span of his career, he has given different nicknames, that such as Sikh of Twigs and Beard to be Feared, Monty Python. So I want to know, what is your favorite nickname and why?
Your favorite nickname? The Sikh of Tweak, full Monty.
Yeah, people call me Sikh or Tweak or Terminator. I think my common one was Sid the Sikh. They call me Sid the Sikh, so that will be my name, Sid, when I'll be out in England.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And there's another gentleman. I think there's one more question out there. The gentleman in the white sweatshirt.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Actually, you have been playing the part of the 3 county teams, Northampton, Essex, Sussex. And when you were in welcoming for the last season in Northamptonshire, what was the feeling for you? And actually, one more question is you. When you were playing with the high wells, what was the opinion for you playing in the bouncy tracks of the Joburg and especially the tracks which are not supporting for the spinners? We know that the conditions of the England are very damp and the condition of South Africa is bouncy. So how were you able to connect both the conditions and you were successful over there? How you were successful over there?
Successful in England and South Africa as a bowler, because the conditions are very different.
Yeah, well, firstly, I didn't play a test match in South Africa, so I didn't really know how to be successful in South Africa, but I played like first-class cricket there, where on bouncier pitches, you're able to push your length a little bit further back because the ball bounces a lot more. While in India or in England conditions, you have to bowl the ball slightly fuller because it doesn't bounce as much. And in England, you can afford to bowl a little bit quicker because the seam is so hard that it skids on or it turns quite sharply. So for me, I found that was my mechanism of how to be successful in Australia, well, in England. And on bouncier pitches, I would look to just bowl slightly shorter as my good length ball because the ball just bounces a bit more.
Perfect. I think that's all we have. Time for one more question? Okay, there's somebody else out there. Yeah, please.
I'll just come forward. Hello, everyone over here. I'm Niharika Raina, and my question for Monty is that as a spinner, what has been your greatest moment ever as a professional cricketer?
Greatest moment ever as a professional cricketer.
I think for me, there was many. When we won the Ashes, in Australia. As a team, we all sat together in Sydney on the field and going through our favourite moments. Obviously, I would say when I took Sachin as my first Test wicket, that has to be, I've got to say that I'm in India, of course. So that's got to be my, one of my favourite moments. And when we won the series here as well in 2012, that was another, brilliant moment. Then I had my embarrassing moments as well when I was in Mumbai and Dhoni top-edged it and I dropped the catch 10 metres over there. Then 2 balls later, I caught it, and so I was 0, and then 2 balls later, I became a hero. So, I had brilliant moments, but some of my favourite moments, were in India.
Perfect. I think that's it. Oh, no, one more question. That's the last one for the... Oh, 2 more questions. Okay, let's go. There's a lady right at the back, and there's a lady out here. If you could just come up.
Hello. Hi, sir. My name is Radhika. So my question is, you were warned about variations in your game. So what did you do about that?
Yeah, I think one way to bowl it slower was to reduce my stride length. And then I would, same action, and then the ball will come out slower. Or increase my arm speed, but then release the ball a little bit earlier. So normally I'm leaving it at 11 o'clock here, about 10 o'clock. Release it a little bit earlier, same arm speed, and then the trajectory will be a little bit higher, and the ball will come out slower. And then go wide of the crease as well. So the way you set up a batsman, you go wide of the crease, suddenly it's wide, the head is positioned here, then you go wide of the crease, the head is tilting over a little bit now, then you come a little bit straighter, and that same ball is going to look to play towards mid-wicket. And then, you got LBW because the full face of the bat is what you're trying to get the batsman not to do. And that was kind of my tactics.
So was there any pressure in doing, facing those variations or doing those variations?
Basically, how difficult was it to do those variations, when you hit a bowler bat?
Yeah, I think initially when my thinking was quite rigid, and I wasn't flexible. Like a bamboo stick, my mind, wasn't agile when I was in my younger years, just bowled the same delivery. And when I got dropped from the England team, then you can't ask yourself the question, how do I get myself better? And what does that journey look like? And part of that journey was obviously adding variation. And I remember at Wankhede Stadium when I bowled in the first innings, I bowled to Sachin, and he turned his bat and his off stump, obviously got his off stump. And then the second innings, I bowled a cross seamer because I turned it, but then I bowled a cross seamer and it went straight on, and that got LBW. It's like I don't know how you guys feel about that when I get Sachin out, because that's 1.5 million people, 20% of the world population. You probably hate me for doing that, right? But part of me wished I probably never did it because I haven't really worked in India since then.
No, you'll be fine. Don't worry. We are forgiving people. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir.
Perfect. I think that's it. Or no? Okay, that's the last question we are taking. Lady out here is the last question. Yeah.
Sorry, in the front.
Yeah. thank you. Monty's been remarkably patient, but this is the last one for you today.
It's a very light question. My first question is, do you watch Bollywood movies?
Yeah, I do watch Bollywood
Okay,
movies.
so the second question is following the first question. So second question is, there was a movie released, Patiala House, starring Akshay Kumar. In 2010, Indian Express released an article stating that this movie was inspired by you. So that movie basically showed the character of Gaddu, played by Akshay Kumar, and it showed the discontentment of his father, that he never wanted his son to play for the England team. So was this true? Like, can you tell us, was what was shown on the screen was true? Was the same reaction from your dad and your family members?
Well, firstly, like I said, I never even got a chance to meet like Rishi Kapoor or Akshay Kapoor, just to like sort of say, you know, thank you for making it was a loosely based movie on myself. I think they just went out there and made the movie, didn't they? Yeah, that's power in India for you, isn't it? Like if you're Narendra Modi right now, you can do what you want, because that's how powerful we are as a country at the moment. I'll be interested to see how Boris Johnson, you know, who when they both sit together, who called the shots? Is it like Narendra Modi's 10 wish list and he has to say yes to everything? Or is there a bit of a sort of rapport with each other? But that's what happened, you know. Akshay Kumar made the movie and I didn't really get a chance to sort of meet him. So yeah, it'd be nice to meet him one day. Thank him for making a movie loosely based on me. But I would love to make, you know, this into a
Proper biopic.
yeah, proper biopic, and
Official, proper, licensed biopic.
yeah, we'll make it into like
With true facts on the screen.
yeah, like, you know, and be honest, you know, give honest accounts, because I remember watching the Sanju movie, which was brilliant. You know, I didn't really know he was in that sort of pickle situation in the 1990s, you know, like the people that you're associated with. But he gave an honest account, and you kind of like, you know, sympathize with him now, in the difficulties that he went through. Right. So yeah, it was a brilliant movie, and I hope I have the opportunity to do that in India as well.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Monty. Thank you for your career in broadcasting and media to follow, which I'm sure is going to happen. Thank you for being remarkably open and insightful with us. And I wish you the best to study for your medical examinations, because your dad is still waiting for you to become a doctor. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful having you here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bhattacharya. Thank you so much, Monty. Just on a lighter note, I've also got to know from my sources that you want to work with Salman Khan in future. Is that true?
Well, it'll be nice, you know, maybe in a few years' time, you know, become a Bollywood actor and maybe do something, you know, the Bung 4 maybe, you know, go with Salman Khan or something like that. But that'll be fun, yeah. You know, Bollywood acting, you know, maybe in a few years' time. You know, look, if Katrina Kaif can learn Hindi and she's from London, I'm sure I can learn Hindi and Punjabi as well, and maybe, you know, work in the Bollywood or the, you know, Punjabi film industry.
That's very well put forward out in the universe. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
We are also going to officially launch the book, so I just request both the gentlemen to just stay back for a minute. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are officially launching Monty Panesar's book, The Full Monty, in India, and I'll just request both of you to please hold the book. Yeah. And can we have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? That's the official launch of the book by Monty himself. And we wish you all the very best, and we hope that this too is going to be a sensation just like you. Thank you very, very much.